Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition. Today, hot day down here in Texas. I'm here with my boy Sage and Mark. It's your boy Ben Goosen back at it again. Got a good week. Today, I had the opportunity to watch the drafts. We got a special guest coming through today. Good personal friend of mine, very good friend of mine. I sound like Stephen A. Smith, but I don't sound like my boy Sage and Mark. Sage, where you at?
It's your boy Sage the Mock. What's good, Goose? I'm down here in the hood, just watching my back, seeing about them video games, you know what I'm saying?
Bruh. So last week, as y'all probably saw, if you watched the live version, you would have saw we did a public podcast last week, and Homeless McGee decided to show up while we were recording the podcast and asked this man. He said, I wish I knew how to play them video games. I looked at him and I said, "You need to get the hell up out of my face." And he looked back and I said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that, sir. I'm real sorry." So we had a good week. We did the podcast. We went live last week. We decided to go with the live version, check the live stats last week. Got some valuable information, got some valuable knowledge. And on the subject of knowledge, today, Thursday, while we record this, is the NBA draft. I'm a Bulls fan, so it got me thinking, what if the NBA, like what could WWE do? What could wrestling in general do? Look at that. You are in the hood. I heard that horn.
You already know,
So
son. You already know.
What could the NBA do, or what could the WWE do that was like the NBA? And I thought, well, who could I turn to in this? I thought, you know what, my boy Z-Man. My boy Z-Man. If I'm going to turn to anybody, I'm going to turn to this dude. Let me tell you a little something about him. He's our special guest today. He's one of the friends that I got, one of the people that I know who's also amazing at Rocket League. You've heard me talk about video games on this. You can follow me at Twitch, Ben_Goosen. You can see some Rocket League goals I actually scored this past weekend. So it brought me to thinking, I'm going to reach out to my boy. We're both NBA fans. We both know a lot about the NBA. We follow the NBA. Credits to subreddit NBA to bring in his thoughts. And he's a part-time wrestling fan, to bring in his thoughts. So I introduce you to my boy, the Z-Man. What up? You there?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thank you for that intro. Too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm not that good at Rocket League. You're setting people up.
What are you talking about?
I'm not.
So for the fans out there listening, it's a wrestling podcast, but we talk about video games. I pulled up stats last week. Rocket League, because I play a lot with my friends. In ranked games, I have 50 goals. Non-ranked games, stacks. I'm kind of like the Lonzo Ball of Rocket League, if you will. I got constant promotion. But my boy here is up to, you might be close to 700 goals. How many ranked game goals do you think you have?
Maybe 600, 700.
No, I want to say when we checked, you were in, what, 650? Maybe it's 650 to 680? How many goals would you say you average a game?
I'd probably say around 2 to 3. Not too crazy.
Yeah, easily. Well, today we had an exciting night in the draft.
Yeah.
The draft is still going on as we talk. So for those of y'all that are listening, you've probably already seen the results of the draft. So, NBA draft. I'm a big Chicago Bulls fan. Just what did you think about the trade? We talked about this over a week ago. I know you're a Zach LaVine fan. You were talking to me about Minnesota, and there are 3 guys in the 20s that scored 20. So tell me what you think about that trade.
I love it. I mean, it's saying that Chicago is not going to make the playoffs. Let's just be real. They're not going to make the playoffs next year. But being able to build around Zach LaVine, that's crazy. I think that was the problem with him there in the Wolves was is Andrew Wiggins a star? Is Cat the star? Karl Anthony Towns? Or is Zach LaVine the star? People were saying Zach LaVine's the third guy, but as a big fan of his, I saw the potential. But for the Bulls, I think it's huge. I mean, Jimmy Butler didn't want to be there. What are you going to keep doing? Being the 8th seed, 7th seed, losing right away? So now that gives the Bulls kind of some excitement to develop around, maybe potentially be like the Sixers. I mean, I don't think it's close, but I was excited about it. I think you guys are. I think you guys are in for a treat. It's going to be a totally different Bulls team. Not that grind and play defense and mid-range jumpers. I think it's going to be a new Bulls team, and hopefully Rondo's out. Sorry, but he's not going to be good on that with Zach LaVine.
So do you think Zach LaVine is somebody that's good enough to build a team around, to say, you know what, just like they did with Jimmy Butler, this is our future guy, a guy coming off of a season-ending knee injury, mind you?
In his sophomore year, which is okay, or I think it might have been his third year actually. He's still 22, 21. So that type of injury, I don't think is going to be the break off of his career. He still hasn't even gotten close to his peak, but he's got the ridiculous athleticism, which we've seen in the dunk contest. He can pull it from three anywhere. I was telling you about that. His actual peak of his shot is ridiculous. I mean, you can see by his vertical jump, because nobody can stop that. His problem is he can't really finish in the paint because he's like a $180. But, you know, I think put some mass on, go to Wink, and put some mass on him when he goes to Europe and get some treatment. Know anything about the situation? Hopefully that'll get him a little boost. And if you look at his skill set, it's similar to Kobe. I mean, pair Kobe, but he's got that. Putting up 25. He was putting 20 Towns on his side. So now he's got literally nobody that can do that.
Yeah, no, I agree, on a crowded team. And it makes me think, so to fill you in on where we're coming in, and thanks for y'all tuning in and watching right now, to fill you in on what we're going on, the NBA draft tonight, still on right now. The top 4 picks were as they were, but then the big trade at number 7 was the big changeup. So it makes me think, the WWE, a couple months ago, we did a podcast about the draft. And the Superstar draft, it's when they split up WWE Raw and WWE Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. So, Sage, let me ask, how interesting would it be? This has been a huge. If you paid any attention to the NBA in the past 2 days, it's taught me a lot about the WWE. And WWE should take what the NBA is doing on 2 aspects. And let me. I think that they should take from the NBA in the aspect of draft nights and trades. So, Sage, let me ask you. Teams will trade veterans or those maybe over the hill for future talent, draft picks. If you look at the Boston Celtics, they've got a ton of first-round draft picks. So do you think that that's something that could work in the WWE? For example, let's trade a John Cena from SmackDown to Raw, excluding the fact that he's a free agent right now, for 2 NXT superstars. Because, I mean, technically, by that case, you could have gotten Nakamura and Asuka. So do you think something like that could work in the WWE?
So you're saying trade John Cena to NXT for a Nakamura and Asuka?
No, I'm theoretically speaking. Would you like to see sports-related trades in the WWE where you could trade one superstar for draft picks, a.k.a. NXT call-ups?
I mean, I feel like we already have that, to be honest with you. But the problem is that Raw is always going to get the better pick just because they're the longest show, at least through 2018. So I don't think that works. And if you look at the roster and how it was drafted, most of the veteran people went to Raw. Went to SmackDown itself. And I mean, I don't know. Now they're trying to do the inverse of that after WrestleMania, and it's not working, man. I don't think you can do the NBA draft like you can do the I don't think you can implement the NBA draft into the WWE. It just doesn't work. There's a lot of different variables. They wrestle a lot more than those guys play basketball. So then you got the injury issue as well. So I don't think it could work.
So let me ask you then. First off, for those of y'all that are listening on the podcast, we do this live on YouTube. Feel free to tune in. there's some girls behind you. Let me holler at them later on. You can see them on the podcast, but I know y'all can see them over for some cheeseburgers. So, but no, I'm not talking about like a draft, like where we do an NXT draft, because only like 5-6 people get called up. But what if they do something like a trade? Like, they don't. What are your thoughts on a potential like trading scenario, if you will?
I mean, I would like that. That's actually the only thing that I think is missing out of this whole thing is an actual trade. Like, I would be interested. I hate to say this, but I don't want AJ Styles to leave SmackDown, but I wouldn't mind if the club and Finn Balor to SmackDown in exchange for like a John Cena and maybe a Ty Dillinger, because I think they ain't doing nothing with Ty on SmackDown. You got a 3-hour show. You can fit in a program with him since they have more people. So maybe doing something like that. I would definitely be interested in that. Why they haven't done that, I don't know. It just would seem logical considering that there's a lot of talent, especially on the Raw side, that they just don't utilize.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool other than doing the superstar shakeup, but they do conduct actual trades. Now, you mentioned something a second ago that I thought was pretty interesting. You and I touched base on a little bit earlier this week and decided to talk about it this week. So let's talk about the travel schedule. Let's just talk about the schedule here of the NBA versus WWE. So, Z-Man, think about it. When you look at a guy, well, let's get deep. A guy who was traded this week in D'Angelo Russell, right? He was traded to the Nets, and D'Angelo Russell was seen as, I think after the Iggy Azalea Swaggy P ordeal, I think, to be honest with you, I think he was just a lost cause. I think that was obviously, a mistake you make, especially in a locker room, which is like a brotherhood, and those guys say all sorts of stuff in the locker rooms that shouldn't, get out to the public. It's a private place. So what do you think? And I want to hear Sage and Z-Man. I want to hear y'all's thoughts. What's a tougher life to live from a travel perspective and a life to live? That of an NBA player and top notch versus that of a WWE superstar. Z-Man, I'll start with you.
So your question was, what's the hardest part of their lifestyle? Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, what's tougher between the two?
Between NBA and a wrestler?
Lifestyle? Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yes.
I couldn't get it all. I think the NBA aspect, and I don't see this with wrestling. The NBA player is going to have that. You build those relationships like we talked about. You got that team that you're traveling with day in, day out. And all of a sudden, that's your family, that's your life, that's your career. You got a house there. Then boom, you get a call, you get a text. You gone, bro. You going on the other side of the. Basically, D'Angelo Russell went from LA to Brooklyn. In that sense, that's pretty difficult to live with. Now on wrestling, I'm not sure how often they're moving around, traveling around, and then you got all the things going on, like, storyline stuff that, hey, this guy might go on with this guy. You don't know. Stuff can happen. But, and that's the same way with the NBA. So comparing those two, it's pretty difficult, man. It's pretty difficult. I think the hardest part is being on the road. I think if you're going to compare them and say what the similarities are, traveling, moving around, being away from family. What do you think, Sage? Help me out here,
so, Z-Man. All right, Z-Man. I know you try. Let me fish you in, son. Let me fish you in. All right,
you know
got
me
you,
on
bro.
the wrestling part. I don't know it that well.
You was trying to give credit. I got you, bro. I got you, man. So I'm gonna put it like
Don't
this,
give
man.
credit. Sage will go off on you. Sage will go off on you.
You don't want me to mark out, son. We live in that one for Carmella. Justice for Carmella. # baby. Let's go. Honest with you, I think the WWE's lifestyle is a lot harder than the NBA's. And I say it like this. On average, the NBA team plays about 3.5 games per week. And then maybe 1 one practice game, and then that's it. So we'll say 4, maybe 4.5 days out of the week. A WWE superstar is on the road 6 to 6.5 days per week on average. Most of that is traveling from town to town, maybe on 3.5, 4 hours of sleep, if that, carpooling. Not only are they doing it, from state to state, city to city, but they're also doing it. They're also going worldwide to worldwide, and so the it's very, very, how do you say? It's very, very labor intensive. And one of the other things is I know that when you're away from family, the biggest issue that you have is promiscuity. I hate that freaking word. Promiscuity. Yes. And I think that it's easier. I think because you have more of the exposure on the WWE side, specifically because you are viewed as a rock star on TV. People are approachable, or they want to get to know you a little bit more, and then sometimes you get a God complex as a result of it. And I think that the God complex is more on the WWE people than it is on the NBA side. So
I gotta jump in here, Sage. So,
go ahead, man.
From what you were saying, 4 days, you were saying an NBA player. You got to take and travel. I mean, these guys are playing one day in Houston, next day you're playing New York. So you get off the plane, it's 2 a.m., you start prepping for a game at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., you're doing your shoot around. Play your game, right? Some players, the bench players, probably not going to have it as bad. But in that case, I mean, NBA during the season, they're pretty much on it every day. So they're doing something, whether it's rehab, whether it's practice, shoot around. And then to the promiscuity, you heard of Paul George, bro?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. So
I'm going to go ahead and say NBA players are more famous.
So your NBA players. Well, we'll just take a roster by roster. We'll say a roster versus a team, a WWE roster versus a team. Your WWE roster is getting laid more than your NBA team is. Period. Your bench players, half of your team, your 12-man team, maybe only 6 of them are getting laid.
Okay.
Everybody on the WWE roster is getting laid because every single one of them are on TV. Half of the people on the roster, you can't tell me you can't tell me on the Timberwolves team that the Timberwolves is getting played. All 12 people on the Timberwolves is getting played. No, man. On Raw, everybody on Raw is getting played. Period, man. Period.
Let me tell you this, David. My basketball team, college Division I basketball team, would be on the bottom 5, and that's out of 200. Every one of those dudes, no professional. They're not good. These girls don't know how much this guy averages. They don't care. He's big.
Oh no, because for the college people, all they worrying about is trying to get you wiped up, so that way you will take them to the next level. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about when you've made it, when you've legitimately made it to the NBA. Oh. Maybe 3 or 4 people on that given particular roster, unless you're on a superstar team. And again, out of those 12 people, maybe only 6 of them are getting laid. You can't tell me.
You don't think these bench guys are introducing themselves like, hey, how's it going? I'm Timberwolves player, blah, blah, blah. Like, and they're going to be in the club with you go to the club with that star player. You're on the side of them. Like, hey, I play on the team too. Hey, he's not going to get the best, bro.
Timmy Thomas that's down in NXT is saying, hey, come with me. I'll introduce you to John Cena. Oh, John Cena wasn't here. Hey, so let's go ahead and kick it every single night. That play is going on nonstop.
So, Sage, let me chime in on something. I just want to – so who's the biggest – to the media, to the public, who's the biggest star in the WWE right now? John Cena?
Then
Fair
John
to say?
Cena?
Yeah, it'd have to be John Cena, right?
And
Okay.
John Cena.
So John Cena has 9.6 million Twitter followers. The biggest star in the NBA is LeBron James. He has Bron has 36.9.
He's a mogul.
Got literally more than what, almost 4 times what LeBron has. So I would say the NBA is more popular. And plus, honestly, if you're a 7-footer walking out there in the street, people are just going to assume you're in the NBA, so chicks are going to flock to you. I would think when it comes to promiscuity. So I agree with what you're saying, that if you're on the bench, if you're the 12th man in the WWE, you're still on TV every Monday night for 10 to 15 minutes. And in the WWE, there's no off season. Month gap where you're not on TV. No, you're on TV. But I think NBA players, I mean, and we're probably just comparing, maybe John Cena versus LeBron's a bad example, because both of those guys, if any one of them went out anywhere in public, then they're going to get, okay, you know what, I got an idea. Who is going to get more?
You're telling me that Kyrie Irving is getting more play than Seth Rollins would?
100%, yeah.
Get out of here, man. You're bandwagoner, man.
Let's compare the lowest of the low, okay?
No.
The lowest of the low, and the NBA would be Kyle Singler, and the WWE would be Ellsworth.
Ellsworth is probably getting more play.
You know what? Okay. All right, bro.
Other than the top 3 in Cleveland.
That's a great example. I would love to find out, like, who gets Brian Scalabrine or James Ellsworth. Who gets more girls at the end of the day? And Ellsworth's a great example. Chin or no chin, I'll pull the girls. I would love to hear that.
Unless
so
we confuse him with Kevin Federline or something.
Yeah, that's the role that he's kind of been playing. See, and I got to give props to Z-Man, because here he is right now, and he watches WWE on the part-time, or what's going on Reddit. And speaking of what's going on Reddit this week, oh boy, we had a Pootie Tang sighting on SmackDown this week, or should I say JD? So Z-Man, have you seen Pootie Tang?
Oh, I love that movie.
So you remember, it's JD in it, right? Who repeats everything? Man, it's hot out here. Man, it's hot too.
You mean JB Smooth?
JB, that's it. JB. Yeah, JB Smooth. And it's hot too. This week on SmackDown, Charlotte made a comment, said she's going to, if you don't do this, you're going to end up looking like Ellsworth. And old Tamina, Charlotte, if you don't do this, you're going to end up looking like Ellsworth.
Yo. That's not on Tamina, bruh.
Yeah, it is. 100%. She forgot her line. Or Charlotte stole her line.
Charlotte stole those lines, son. Charlotte stole those lines. That's all that was, man. Gonna blame it on Tamina, man. Y'all crazy.
Oh, yeah. It cracked me up. Yeah, I know you saw it. Z-Man, what did you think about it?
Man, I felt bad for Ellsworth, man. He had to take it twice, and he's just there like, I'm sorry. Freak off. And
yeah, I'm not taking that.
If you know what subreddit it was on, I love this subreddit. I'm going to give a shout out. You ever want a good dose of awkward moments? That's the subreddit to check out. But that's where it came out on.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
I don't know. Do they show a lot of wrestling clips on that subreddit? I thought it was a one-off, like a real
one-off. It was a one-off. They don't really show wrestling stuff on there. That's why I had to share it with y'all. I thought it was pretty funny how I think the Reddit for wrestling most of the time is squared circle.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. But I see
Keyboard warriors.
Oh, yeah. So just take on
Don't even get me started. Bunch of keyboard warriors over there at Square Circle. Tell you that.
Let me just tell you, it's a hive mind, man. It's a hive mind.
So I got to ask you guys.
They can hive this.
with the draft being tonight, we covered it a little bit earlier and just what our general thoughts were. So I got to ask you guys, if you were to draft your super team, because that's the thing in the NBA these days, is we kind of tie this episode into the NBA draft, and we'll get into Money in the Bank here in a little bit. If you can draft your super team, your WWE super team, you got to get, I mean, you think about it, you can go a lot of ways. You can get somebody famous like a Hulk Hogan, John Cena, and then a good tag team, you know, the Rockers, all these guys. So if you could draft your top 5 WWE superstars of any era of all time, who would they be? And I'll start with you, Sage.
All time. Jeez, Goose.
Yeah, to make the
laying it
perfect
on
wrestling show. Make the perfect wrestling show.
thick, man. All right, man. So at the top of the list, the guy that's main eventing everything, it's got to be AJ Styles, man. AJ Styles. At the tag team spot, and I would have to go with LOD, man. Legion of Doom. And then at the cruiserweight spot, the other only 2 guys that need, maybe 3 guys that need to be main eventing the cruiserweight spot. That's Dean Malenko. That's Billy Kidman, and then that's Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, you already picked 5. You already picked 5, man. That team sucks.
Huvo, man. Hoovy Juice.
You pick Hooven 2.
That's just 5 people. That's just 5. Okay, all right. So
yeah, your starting lineup. That team sucks. No, you've already got your team lineup.
Wait.
You've already got your crappy team.
LOD is 1, bro. LOD
they count
is
as
1.
They count as 2. It's a tag team. Your team sucks.
No, they don't count as the tag teams count as 1. You already know that. That's a
you
new
just
day
named like
counted as 1.
You just named like 5 cruiserweights.
Dude, but I gotta have a mid card, man. I don't have a mid card.
So you want like a 10-person roster? All right, I'll tell you what. LOD counts as 1, and you get 1. I'll give you. Yeah, well, you're already at 5. You just named 4 cruiserweights.
I only named 3 cruiserweights, not 5.
Okay? So there's your 5. You got LOD, AJ Styles, and the 3 cruiserweights. You might as well just have Lucha Libre, Triple A.
We going big, son. We're doing it like nobody else has ever done it before. That's what I'm talking about.
Z-Man, who you got?
We need the women's division, man. I need a woman.
You could pick one,
all right.
but she's not gonna do anything.
All
She
right.
already picked your 5.
Let's make it 6. Let's make it 6 with the woman. How about
Okay,
that?
okay, you get one woman. We'll make it 6 with one woman.
One woman. That is going to be. I had to do a. Well, I shouldn't phrase it that way. Phrasing. If I had to pick a woman, I would have to pick. Oh man. I guess I would have to. I guess I would have to pick Kana, man. I like that ferocity that Kana brings. So.
Is that Oscar?
Yeah.
I could see that. Z-Man, who you got? And then we'll get to one of our listeners is chiming in. Stephen Thatch in the chat. I'll definitely give you a shout out here in a bit.
So I'm gonna show my generation of when I was really, really big into wrestling. I'm gonna start off with Chaboy, The Rock. I was a kid. I got the lunchbox with The Rock on it. I got banned from school because it screamed violence. I don't know why. And then it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, obviously. Then I'm gonna throw a guy that I was a huge fan of as well, Goldberg. I'm gonna throw him out there. You know, I'm gonna give another shout out to my boy, rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero. Huge fan at the time. Just because I'm a fan of the early UFC when it was no rules in the UFC. My boy Ken Shamrock.
Oh, nice pick.
Yeah. I used him in my video games because that dude could throw some kicks in there. And the girl, I'm going to choose 2 women. Now give me a break on this one. First one, another rest in peace, but somebody really at the time was defining women because she was fighting guys all the time. It's China. You know, I'm excited to watch that documentary that's going to be coming out pretty soon. But because when I had this video game, I forgot what it was. I think it was SmackDown versus Raw. But when you had to beat people to unlock videos. And you know whose video I was trying to get? That's Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus. Y'all remember her?
Nah, she trash, bro.
At the time, little 12-year-old Zach liked that video. All right. That's my team.
Oh, yeah, I remember. So Stephen Thatch in the chat is one of our regular live viewers. Thank you for joining us today. He says he picked The Rock, Miz, Kurt Angle, HBK, Nakamura, and Charlotte. Preferably Nakamura with
Charlotte crap, man.
With with Paul Heyman. So I would have to go if you told me.
Hey Goose, who are your top 6? If you had to put a promotion together, who you got?
If I went top 6, so if I picked mine, all right. So for women, I would choose. Does Stephanie McMahon count? I could choose her, right?
Yeah, she counts.
So for woman, I'd choose Stephanie McMahon. For man, I go with The Rock. And I'm going to go with Z-Man on this. I'd pick The Rock, Stone Cold, and we're just assuming these guys in their prime. So The Rock, Stone Cold, Hogan, Shawn Michaels, Stephanie McMahon. And then for that final, I'm not going to mess around with tag teams. For that final guy, I'd probably go with Bret Hart.
So
probably go with
version of Hogan.
Since I have The Rock, Stone Cold, and Bret Hart, I'd go with the yellow and red Hulkamania Hulk Hogan. That's a good question. That's a good follow-up question. Just because I got people who could, between The Rock, Austin, and Bret Hart, who could drum up the crowd and make them, you know, Rock could say, "Oh, I'm Samoan," and Bret Hart will say, "I'm Canadian," and they could drum up the crowd. And then when you hear that Hulkamania, that beautiful song, you know what I'm saying? Then that's who I'd pick. Basically all the big guys of all time. So everybody would watch my show. And nobody would watch your crap show when you have Dean Malenko on it.
It's the man of 1,000 holes. You respect the greatest cruiserweight of all time, son.
Wait a minute. I just realized something. Yep, so if I picked Hogan and he had all those racist comments, me being a black and Indian
man, you already got him, man. You can't take him back.
Oh, it's already locked in? Damn it.
It's already locked in, son.
Well, that's controversy, and controversy makes money. So my show would be amazing. And if I had to pick a manager, I'd pick Eric Bischoff. Flat out.
Talk about no managers, man. We ain't getting no managers. What the hell?
Well, you got a second try because you named like 57 cruiserweights. You got a second try.
What are you talking about?
All right. Do a quick honorable mention then. Honorable mentions. People
Ellsworth.
That might have been. Surprised. I don't. Maybe I'm out of it. Maybe like nobody talks about. I know he's out of wrestling, but nobody talks about the Undertaker anymore. When I was watching wrestling, that dude was unstoppable. Like for a long time. I mean, is there a certain reason why nobody talks about him anymore, or?
No, we just slept on him right now. We just slept on him.
Okay.
He's still GOAT, but we just slept on him.
He's still GOAT, man. We just there's nothing. Undertaker transcends all of that.
That's what I'm saying. Like I was thinking, like, hey man, this guy, or Ric Flair.
Oh yeah, I guess we slept on Ric Flair too. We probably didn't go far back enough, but that's okay. That's what we do.
6 rosters is tough, man.
Or obviously Rashiki guys. Come on.
I'd rather have Brian Christopher, man, doing the worm.
Oh yeah. Well, this week we had the Money in the Bank, and as Stephen Thatch in the chat just said, Undertaker's too slow. You got to keep up with my show. So, and shout out to Stephen Thatch. Always appreciate you joining. So, one thing I got to ask: we had Money in the Bank, and Zach, I know you haven't watched wrestling in a while, but I know you keep up with because Z-Man has come to me and flat out said, you know, who's this dude without the chin? What happened to The Undertaker? And who's this person who had the Pootie Tang mess up on the mic on SmackDown? So, I mean, he follows it to a degree. So, Money in the Bank was this week. And to fill you in, Z-Man, what it is you climb a ladder, you win the match. It's like an old school ladder match. I know you remember those. You climb the ladder, win the match, and get a briefcase, and you win an automatic title shot whenever you want. So it could be whenever. So if somebody just got beat up really bad backstage, you could say, oh, no, give me my title shot right now, and then pin them and get the title right there on the spot. It happens all the time, actually. So it got us to thinking, if they just do Money in the Bank in the WWE, could they expand it and do it elsewhere? So with you on the show and us talking NBA today in honor of the draft, we're going to have you as our regular draft day guest, by the way. Would it be crazy if they, in the NBA, implemented a Money in the Bank? Because the NBA playoffs this year, even though they were the highest rated, they weren't the most entertaining. There was two teams who blew everybody out of the water. And I don't care what you say. The Celtics, the one game they won was on a game-winning shot. That was luck. I think it's clearly obvious the Cavs played down to the team they played and lost in a game winner. And then in the finals, for all intents and purposes, you had a blowout series, 4-1. So what if some other team could come out and say, you know what, we're cashing in Money in the Bank. We're getting our game, we're getting our championship shot right now. And Sage, do you think that they should have a 7-game series, or it's just one and done? Win one, you take it.
Dude, I think it would be more exciting if it was a one and done, man. You cash in, and it don't matter what capacity you in, man. If you you exhausted after making 122 points, you better have that good C squad, man, because your boys is cashing in like Seth Rollins. He coming in, the camera's in the back, we coming down. That's what I'm talking about, man. One and done.
Z-Man, on you, what do you think?
Well, it all depends on the team. If the Phoenix Suns were to cash in, it'd be a joke. I don't think even the Warriors would have to play the starters to beat them. It'd be a quick little 120-70 game because the Suns are trash and will be trash for a long time.
Man, don't you start talking no mess, Mr. Spurs fan, who got swept out of the finals again.
We didn't make it to the finals. Thank you.
Hey, y'all got swept again.
But we were in the playoffs. Okay.
Y'all trash, bro.
But Ben Juice the Goose, and what you're proposing maybe a little twist. I might propose a consolation tournament. So check it. All the teams that lost in the playoffs, and then maybe throw in some 9 seeds to throw them back in, have a consolation tournament. And the best out of that team then becomes the Money in the Bank recipient, as you call it. And then in July, when the Warriors are out in the club, partying it up, the team that wins that consolation, probably the Spurs, will show up all suited up, like, let's go outside right now. Outside court is set up. And the basketball used is like $5 basketball from Walmart. And then they say, let's go. Then the Spurs might get a chance,
And it's one of those basketball courts where the bases that you got to fill up with water and put the sandbags on, right?
Yes. And the rims are like triple thick. So
we're going to have N1 rules. N1 rules.
And no
yeah,
refs.
it's definitely call your own fouls.
No refs.
Yeah, it's definitely call your own fouls.
And instead of Gatorade on the side, they got 4 Locos.
Sold. You got 4 Locos and a water hose. 4 Locos and
a water hose.
Your best friend's parents' water hose. That's all you got at most. And then it's a new water hose, so it tastes like rubber bad. So, Yeah, that would be great. You know, I've been a fan actually, because in soccer, if you're at the bottom, you get relegated down to the minor leagues pretty much and hope you can make it back. That'd actually be a good idea. What if they did in the NBA, like a thing like that, where they did something along the lines of if you're in the bottom, to prevent teams from tanking, if you're in the bottom half, because the top quote unquote half make the playoffs, if you're in the bottom half, you have a playoff. Winner gets the #1 overall draft pick. You think that could work?
Now then you're going to create a mess for the future. They got the Boston Celtics and Lakers going to the finals every year again. You know, you create that dispersity. Now, it'd be interesting to have what you said originally with the soccer, like the last place team, you go down to the G League, is what it's called now.
Yeah,
you go
the G League.
Around the G League, and then the problem with that is the owners wouldn't let that happen. But
yeah, of course. Well, they're talking about
there needs to be some sort of punishment for being biased.
Yeah, they need
like saying like a cycling of teams. One team goes up, one team goes down.
Something like that. I mean, there should be.
Yeah, that's what they have in soccer.
For obvious tanking, like, yeah, you got to be blamed. I don't know what it could do. I mean, without having owners and fans and all those type of people, stakeholders basically being very upset. Maybe your team has to have a big baller brand sponsorship on the back of it.
That big baller brand. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The big baller brand is going to make some money tonight. So I want to give props real quick to Stephen Thatch in the chat, who said Money in the Bank, as compared to the NBA, if it was in the UFC. So just imagine Mayweather versus McGregor. After that fight, and it's like, all right, cool. Hey, I'm cashing in. Let's fight. And get the payday,
fucking
awesome. The titles.
That's exactly what the UFC needs right now, man. Especially with everybody going to Bellator, bro. Y'all need to institute a Money in the Bank.
I think so. UFC needs that WWE touch just a little bit, and I think a Money in the Bank. Could you imagine somebody the champ getting knocked out in a five round slugfest, and then I come in and cash in while somebody's all tired?
Dude, that would be awesome, man. I would be so sold on that.
Oh, it'd be great.
Like, oh man, Chael Sonnen is cashing in the Money in the Bank. He's going in. Oh my God, he's going in. Oh my God, McGregor is out. He's out.
Oh, it'd be great.
Awesome, bro.
Well, Z-Man, we're going to get into this wrestling stuff and give our quick review of Money in the Bank and this quick review in the week. We appreciate you joining us. This is my boy Z-Man. So can they follow you online at all? Do you even exist for people to holler at you?
I do not. You can get me on PlayStation, Big Poppy 09.
How many eyes are in that?
That's it. It's 2 eyes.
All right. Well,
it's like you.
I want to give a special shout out to our boy Z-Man, our NBA consultant, our sports fan consultant. In the chat, one of our listeners, Stephen Thatch, just said, "Great job, Z-Man." So you're getting some props.
Thanks, Stephen.
All
right, guys, I appreciate it. Appreciate having me on. I'll continue to support and watch y'all, and you'll see me out there. Have a good one.
Keep it real.
Keep it real.
So this week, obviously, we had a great week in wrestling. Did Money in the Bank exceed your expectations, the overall card?
I absolutely loved it. The rest of the community, not so high on it, though. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was entertained from beginning to end.
Same here. I thought it was a good show. I've had low expectation for Extreme Rules and this card. And really enjoying it. I thought it was a great show. I thought the Ellsworth thing was amazing. I saw you posted on Twitter earlier that if Carmella doesn't win, fair, legit. I saw you were having a conversation that it could hurt, it could sting. I really.
Wait, are you talking? Are you talking about pre SmackDown or post SmackDown?
You were just tweeting this out, I think tonight, or maybe no, today or yesterday. That like Carmella needs to win next week's Money in the Bank for it to give
Yes.
like some real legitimacy. It'll hurt her if she doesn't win next week.
But let's talk about Money in the Bank first, man. Before we get into that, because we definitely going to dive in a little bit on that one there. So, your opinion? I mean, I think we can all safely say that we knew Carmella was going to win the Money in the Bank, and we knew that James Ellsworth was going to have some involvement in it. Like, I don't think anyone should have been surprised about it. Everybody is so upset about this outcome. I don't understand it myself, and I want to know, like, how do you feel about it? Do you feel that everyone's outcry on this is justified?
No, and you know why? It's because people are talking about it. If the WWE or anybody really can give you a result you don't like and you talk about it and it leads to a match a couple weeks later, you've won. So to me, it's no big deal to me. I don't even know what they're complaining about. It's not that I don't know what they're complaining about. It's just it's no big deal to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm exactly the same way. I feel like her character is a traditional heel character to cheat to win. She's got someone in there that is interfered constantly on a continuous basis to help her win and get over. Like, why are you getting upset? This is part of her character. I get this is the very first Money in the Bank, but there's going to be other Money in the Banks. I think that you devalue it when you make the match again 2 weeks later outside of the pay-per-view itself. It makes it pretty much worthless.
I didn't think it was, like you and I were just having a casual chat last week, and I said, I'm more pumped that they're just kicking off a women's Money in the Bank. That when Nikki Cross, Asuka, and a lot of other folks are in the Money in the Bank match, I think it'll be a lot more interesting. I just thought this one was the kickoff, and I thought it was a great match, and those ladies worked their butts off. I can't wait to see what they do next week. I think announcing it a week and a half, ahead of time was really awesome. But I didn't see any big deal. Matter of fact, I hated that Ellsworth even dropped the briefcase. I thought he should have just kept it himself, personally.
You and the rest of everybody that was in there, man, they popped for him climbing the ladder. They wanted him to take the ladder, and I mean, come on, do you think he's gonna pull a Santino Marella or something?
No. And fans, maybe they closet liked it, but I thought the Money in the Bank card overall was really good. It was entertaining. I thought that Baron Corbin coming out. You know what? I'll tell you my exact moment. I was watching it with Dabi Amore, who y'all have seen on the show before. I thought that it was when Nakamura came out and Baron Corbin attacked him, Baron Corbin got instant heat because I was watching it with Dabi Amore on my headset on my Xbox. And when Nakamura came out, I didn't even realize that he wasn't the last one coming out and that Baron Corbin was still going to come out. I saw the lights turn off, and literally me and Dabi Amore said, "Oh, hang on. I got to get into this Nakamura entrance." And on my headphones, I turned the volume all the way up, put my mic on mute so I couldn't hear anybody talking. And I turned it all the way up so I can get pumped for that Nakamura entrance. And then he got jumped, and I thought, oh, I hate Baron Corbin. So I thought it was good. I think they executed it well. A good episode of Raw, good episode of SmackDown. Big episode, big moment on Raw with Braun Strowman coming back. Your thoughts on him coming back the way he went out?
I absolutely loved it, man. I loved it. He came out the same way he came in, which was in an ambulance, and he just, Braun, I told you I ain't finished with you. I loved it, man. Like, bro, that is exactly what Raw needed. Raw needed, they needed in a desperate way, and I'm so glad to have him back, man. Raw was really good this week. Really, really good. I questioned and I won't lie, I questioned the booking of some of these matches, like or specifically the Braun placement versus the ending of Raw with Enzo and Cass, but uh, it was decent, man. I don't know if I would have liked it better or worse if I flipped it around, but it just the placement of the match or of the segments were a bit off.
On Raw.
But you know, on Raw.
I gotcha. Well, I thought Raw was a good show. It wasn't bad. I watched the majority of it. I thought the I didn't really have a huge reaction to the big heel turn by Cass at the end because I kind of, we've been talking about it for a while about Enzo always loses the matches. Reaction to it, I'm looking forward to it. I've said on the podcast before that when they split, I think, and Cass is 7 foot, so he'll go do whatever he does. Maybe he'll go to SmackDown in the next draft or trade or something and team up with Carmella, since they'll both be healed, obviously, and Enzo will go to 205, the cruiserweight division. But I don't know. I think that WWE, I don't know, it didn't shock me that much. I mean, I'm cool with it, and I'm gonna look forward to seeing where it goes. Did it have a big impact on you? Because that was the big segment on Raw.
I wouldn't say it was a shocker or anything like that. I think the delivery with Corey Graves getting involved, I could have probably done a little bit without that. Maybe it would have leaned more on Kurt Angle than being the GM who just doesn't see things from happening or doesn't forgets to check the video or security camera before he goes out and investigates other people. So I think I was more impressed by Cass's promo because we really haven't seen him cut a lengthy promo without it being like a catchphrase kind of thing. So I drew me in more than anything else is just seeing Cass being able to deliver a promo that was honest and true, that stemmed all the way back to NXT. So it brought the people that originally loved them and who were invested in them. It just brought legitimacy to their storyline.
Yeah, that was a great point. He cut a really long promo too. When I think about SmackDown, I thought SmackDown was good, with the exception of JB Smoove giving the Pootie Tang treatment with Tamina. I thought AJ, I thought that Nakamura and Dolph was a good match. I thought that it built up Baron Corbin and his ability to cash in at any time, but Jinder Mahal got a W this week, so I was definitely a fan of that. Just seeing him, any W's he could pick up. Is him and the Randy Orton feud, do you think it's officially over? I don't know if they cut out the Randy Orton promo from Hulu.
No, I caught the promo on there. Actually, the promo was cut, but I did catch the promo about everybody in India that has the name Mahal and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think that this is going to be the final nail in the coffin in terms of the match kind of thing. There's rumors out there that the match is going to be a Punjabi prison match. So, which I think that now you have two people who can actually move around, that it may make it more interesting than, the Great Khali versus, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been John Cena or something like that had the original Punjabi prison match back in the Ruthless Aggression era. So I will say, though, that Carmella really, really impressed me on Monday. That a couple of weeks ago, and this is why I thought about this, like a couple of weeks ago, Goose, you were complaining, and I used the word that complaining lightly, but you were complaining that fully on board with the women until you can see someone who can open up a segment with a decent promo. And I think you got that this week. Like, Carmella's promo was top notch. Everything that she was spitting was nothing but the truth. I love the fact that she even people who have won the money in the bank at the behest of someone interfering, like a Bray Wyatt or a Kane, but they themselves didn't get disqualified, or they weren't forced to give their briefcases back. I thought that after that promo that there was just no way in hell that they were going to do the impossible, which was strip her of the briefcase. And I can tell you that I had all kinds of feels once they stripped her of the briefcase, because now there is a strong possibility that she may not have the briefcase come next week.
You're right.
And if that's indeed does happen, I think that that's the biggest injustice of all, especially when you're trying to build her up. She got the heat. She controlled the crowd. She did everything from Sunday to Tuesday to make this fit, and you're just not going to reward her. I don't know, man.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. So this week on wrestling, it was actually a pretty good Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of wrestling. Father's Day was Sunday. So before we wrap things up here, because we're right at about the hour mark, I just want to really give a special shout out to all the fathers out there. I want to give a shout out to myself. I want to give a shout out to my co-host on this thing, Sage the Mark. You're a heck of a dad. You're an inspiration. You're a role model. I had the chance to talk to Stephen Thatch, who's also one of our listeners, and he's a goat dad. He's not a father of goats, but he's a dad that is on goat level, the greatest of all time level. That's what we really strive to be. A lot of world peace out there. I had a good Father's Day. Got to chill. Got to watch wrestling. Got to have a couple brews. Got to have me the token IRWP drinky drink. If you can't tell or you don't know, again, we record this live. It's on YouTube, and if you can't see Sage the Mark or myself, excuse me, you'll definitely see that we got the IRWP shirts on. We had our shirts made, shirts custom delivered. Feel free to hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, and ask for the order. We'll definitely get you on some merch. Looking for sponsors out there too. So anytime, if you want to come out and say, you know what, Ben Goose, and I heard you like to have a little drinky drink while you do the podcast, just to ease the tension, ease the mind. We just happen to be with the Drinky Drink Company. Why don't you give us a sample and shout us out on the podcast? We'd certainly love to. Speaking of shout outs, unless you have some more to cover, my boy, Sage Mark, you have some shout outs you want to give this week?
Oh, you know it, son. This week has been great in terms of all the interactions. I want to start out by saying thank you to Mauro Ronaldo for continuing to support us by retweeting, even though most of those retweets are us congratulating him on his success. And speaking of success, Mauro Ronaldo, if you haven't heard, has patched things up with the WWE, and they've come to an understanding, and he is now going to be the new host commentary for NXT. I couldn't be happy more for him, man. Congratulations to him. On top of that, he's actually going to be the commentator for the Conor McGregor Money Mayweather fight, so that's going to be amazing as well. I kind of feel like that might have had also some sway to it. Aside from that, HJZ, thank you so much for tweeting us, liking us. Nathan, Adam, don't have your handles. We'll get them next week, guys. Fearless Brittany, Blade X Sucks, thank you so much for continuing to support and retweet us. Dennis Dindal, I probably splattered that one, man. Thank you so much, man. You had a great picture of your daughter doing the AJ Styles thing, so that was pretty cool. Heel Kick. These guys they've got a movie coming out. They've got select screenings. Austin's going to be next month. Your boys are in the process of getting some tickets to go see these guys and get them on an interview. So y'all go check out that movie that they got at Heel Kick Movie for more information there. No More Kayfabe. Thank you so much for following us and welcome to the movement. Appreciate you, Ringo Flake. Hey, We didn't get the update this week, man. And WWE is listening to us. We got Bo Dallas. We got a double dose of Bo Dallas in one night. That's what's up. We need the scoop, my friend.
Yeah, no kidding. Where you at, Ringo Flake?
Yeah,
You're Ringo flanking on me.
We got Harley Funk. Harley Funk, thank you so much for retweeting us. Diva Bible, you continue to impress us. Thank you so much for your love and support. Appreciate you. Devin Wilson, Pope, WWE Dad, thank you so much for interacting with us. He loved the German suplex that Chad Gable did to the face of America, Kevin Owens. I did have to give a slight correction that move is called the Chaos Theory, which was made famous by the Douglas Williams. Jeffries, thank you so much for support us, and thank you so much for the replies. Wrestling Hangover, thank you so much for the interaction. Two-Man Band Podcast. These guys are a great podcast. They recently landed a podcast, or they got Jeff Jarrett on their podcast, which is pretty good. So congratulations to you guys. Keep up the good work. EB Wrestling News, thank you for following us. Welcome to the movement. PW Stream, for following us, and welcome to the movement. And then last but not least, I got to thank my boy, Ben Goosen, always holding it down for your boy when he's out. He's a great father. He goes above and beyond. I wish I could tell you guys a story, but I don't want to impart on his privacy. You know, we're big on privacy, but that's a good dude right there, man. So thank you so much, man. And thank you for being the gold standard for daddies, man.
Yeah. Thank you, man. You set the standard yourself. That's why I hit you up for advice. And speaking of advice, I always hit up my boy Sage and Mark for advice on how to get this podcast working and make it work for you guys. So we're looking for some help on that Patreon account. If it's 5 cents, 10 cents, $1 million, $100, or millions of dollars, doesn't matter. Visit IRWP.us. Help us out a little bit if you can. We'd certainly love it. We'll also take this thing live. Matter of fact, next year, we were trying to work out how to get to Orlando for WrestleMania. We'll probably be out there wearing our IRWP shirts to WrestleMania and NXT TakeOver and all that good stuff. So hit us up anytime. You can find me on Twitter at SageTheMark. You can find him on Twitter. Hit us up like we've been telling you to. We'd love to interact with you guys. And then when we interact with you, quite frankly, if you're just a fan, we want you on the podcast. We have over 1,000 listeners, so we'd really just love to hear from you. We've had folks, I can't tell you specific names, but we've had folks that have joined us on the podcast that are getting WWE tryouts soon. We've had folks from overseas give their perspective on this sport. Kyle Dean. We've had all sorts of guests today. We even had an NBA fan join us today, fan on the part-time, and tell us their thoughts. So we like having guests. The phone lines are open up to. Go ahead and call us. If we don't get to your call, definitely leave us a voicemail. Your voicemail, we give you our word. Your voicemail will be played on air. Your voicemail will be played on air. So give yourself props and a shout-outs. It's 419-777-IRWP, which is 4797. Again, that's 419-777-IRWP, which is 4797. Go ahead and drop us a voicemail as soon as you can on the product. I don't have anything else. I'm Ben Goosen. That's Sage the Mark. All I got to say is it's real. Keep it real.
Peace out. Tippy tie on that running car. Keep it real, guys.